Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders has announced that he will be investigating Amazon over working conditions. So now, in a letter to CEO Andy Jassy, Sanders wrote that the company's quote unquote quest for profits at all costs has been putting the health and safety of tens of thousands of workers at risk. So now, this investigation, again, will look into what has been considered to be terrible working conditions at these Amazon warehouses. In fact, here's what the letter said, quote, Amazon is well aware of these dangerous conditions, the life-altering consequences for workers injured on the job, and the steps the company could take to reduce the significant risks of injury. Yet the company has made a calculated decision not to implement adequate worker protections because Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder, and you, his successor as chief executive officer, have created a corporate culture that treats workers as disposable. At every turn, from warehouse design and workstation setup to pace of work requirements to medical care for injuries and subsequent pressure to return to work, Amazon makes decisions that actively harm workers in the name of its bottom line. He also accused them, of course, of pushing workers past their limits, which we've certainly seen before, and refusing to provide adequate medical care when they end up getting injured. So, look, people at Amazon working in the warehouses, we know that they have an incredibly brutal piece rate. We know that they do not, in order to make that rate, do not get adequate bathroom breaks. We know that, again, the rate of injury is incredibly high. In fact, a recent report by the Strategic Organizing Center found that Amazon warehouse workers suffered serious injuries on the job at more than twice the rate as employees at non-Amazon facilities last year. So, now, look, there are warehouses that are not Amazon owned, that are not, subsidiaries, that are not contracted, and they do not have the injury rate that Amazon warehouses do. I wonder what the difference is. Oh, right, you're working your people to death. That's what the difference is. Earlier this year, OSHA also cited several Amazon warehouses for failing to keep workers safe and exposing workers to ergonomic hazards. Now, in his Tuesday letter, Sanders called on Amazon warehouse conditions called them dangerous and illegal, and demanded that Jassy explain why Amazon injury rates continue to be significantly higher than the warehouse industry's average, despite identification of those measures. He also requested that Jassy disclose whether the company has ever examined internally or through a third party the connection between its pace of work of its warehouse workers and the prevalence or cost of injuries at its warehouses. And either they have not done that, they have not looked at it, or if they did, they buried it. Because honestly, that's probably what they've done. They probably know everything that's going on here, and they know that their business model is harming workers, and they don't care. They consider their warehouse workers to be absolutely easily replaceable, disposable, and since there's not really a union there, it's not really a union to fight it. I mean, they can get away with it. Now, Sanders also says in his letter, quote, if Amazon can afford to spend $6 billion on stock buybacks last year, it can afford to make sure that its warehouses are safer places to work. If Amazon can afford to pay you $289 million in total compensation over the past 2 years, it can afford to treat all of its workers with dignity and respect, not contempt. The time has come for Amazon to stop willfully violating workplace safety laws with impunity and commit to changing its operations to protect the health and safety of its workers. And by the way, as part of his investigation, Sanders also called on any current or former Amazon workers with experience in the company's warehouses to share their stories to help inform the investigation. So I don't know if you have to sign an NDA after or when you sign on to work in an Amazon warehouse. I would hope not. That would be horrifying. But even so, an investigation like this would be worth breaking it. Honestly. Because, man, something's got to give. Something has to be done. You have all of these, again, injuries, these terrible working conditions, labor being exploited in a massive way. And one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in the country. Not only can they afford, again, to actually treat their workers better and not run them into the ground, it actually seems like it's more expensive to keep doing what they're doing. Unfortunately, we don't see that happening. Now, that said, I like this investigation. This is what I want to see from Congress. I don't really care about seeing investigations into Hunter Biden's laptop or Burisma or any of that nonsense. No, I want to see more investigations into corporate malfeasance. That's the real issue. And by the way, this isn't just because, oh, lib, whatever, progressive. No, corporate malfeasance hurts everyone. It hurts right wingers. It hurts people on the left. It hurts people that are not, don't consider themselves to be political. It hurts working people, period. Overall. Overall. Okay? You got to fight against it. We got to fight against it. Now, look, Sanders is, again, one of the few people in Congress that are looking out for workers. There's very few others that I've seen mention anything about this. Looking into Amazon. I wish we had more people like Bernie Sanders that are, actually wanting to look into corporate malfeasance and to hold people accountable, hold these giant corporations accountable for, again, crushing and exploiting labor. But I'll take what I can get. And hopefully this investigation leads to some pretty important hearings and leads to, most importantly, change. There has to be change here. There has to be a way to do better.